What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Pure Evil MMA. I'm your host, as always, Evil Eddie. And let me shut this off because it's going to drive me crazy. We have a very special show for everybody today, but before we dive into that, make sure you guys subscribe down below here on Pure Evil MMA, where you listen to on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, or watching live on YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in, and as always, I got a surprise guest for everybody. We got Jessika L LOpez, who you guys might know as Corner Jess. You might know her as a manager, a Muay Thai instructor. She's fought for, well, we're going to actually let her jump into all of that. She actually has a very interesting story, one of the most interesting stories we're probably going to hear this year. Jessika, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. I'm really excited for this interview because originally we were supposed to do this the other day, and then there was a whole lot that was going on in my life. Me and you kind of spoke on that, and you really helped me calm down a lot. Like, after talking to you, just like, even you guys, like, hearing her voice right now, it's just like so soothing. There's just something with, like, I can feel your energy, like, right off the bat when we spoke the other day. And you know, if you guys been following along with the show and my Instagram and everything, you kind of know what's been going on in my life, and just, you know, me getting a little frustrated this week. And you actually gave me some pretty good advice about how to calm down naturally with, you know, Epsom salt baths and stuff like that. And just, I don't know, like, your knowledge or your presence is just very interesting to me. So I can't wait to jump into this interview. First off, let's start with why you jumped into the mixed martial arts scene, the Muay Thai scene, the combat scene, because it's very rare back in the day for females to be in this kind of profession. But we're seeing it more nowadays in 2018 with Ronda Rousey opening doors, Misha Tate, Chris Cyborg. I mean, the list goes on and on for the females out there that are making a big name for themselves. Even last night, there was a bunch of great fights. How did you get involved with the combat sports scene?
So I actually started with Lily Rodriguez Orquidez, which is the famous founder, Orquidez family with Benny the Jet and all them. And Lily was my boxing coach when I was 18 years old. And she trained me for 3 years. I would be running up the hills in Silmar, going to her fight gym. She worked with gangs from the San Fernando Valley. Her son actually got shot by a gang. And so she started uniting the gangs together to spar it out at her gym. And That's how I started sparring these gangsters. And she would always say, "You're a woman, doesn't matter. I don't want to see you cry. You need to prove yourself." And 2 weeks before I was getting ready to fight, she passed away. And kind of went on some soul searching for a few years where boxing was my life, and it was painful. And I went on a 50-day backpacking trip to Thailand. And I went to a Lumpini Stadium fight.
Lumpini Stadium, yeah.
And my heart, I never saw Muay Thai. And it was so beautiful to me. It excited my soul. And I said, you know what? When I'm coming back, I'm signing up to a gym. That's where my roots started, with Crew Rex and Van Nuys Muay Thai kickboxing gym. He actually ended up having to move, and then I established myself at Muay Thai School USA in North Hollywood.
So let's stop right there really quick, because there's a lot to unpack from what you just said. First off, the one thing that I'm raising flags here, and I'm sure people listening are like, let's talk a little bit more about the whole gang thing. How did that even come into play? Like, who was the person that was like, let's go into, you know, this person's territory and be like, hey, how would you guys like to handle the beef by just boxing or sparring without your guns? Like, do it the real way. Who, like, this person, they weren't scared to do any of that?
No. So Lily,
okay.
Yeah, Lily Rodriguez, she's a 2-time Hall of Famer. She was a women's pioneer for female boxing in the 70s and 80s. She used to pretend she was a boy and go fight in Mexico until finally she was developing. She had to stop because women weren't allowed to fight. She's my biggest mentor, and who I became. Just everything that she represents, her strength, her courage, her feminine energy, her masculine energy. She's everything that inspired me to become the coach I am today and become the fighter that I am today. She unfortunately had a son, and they misidentified him as being in a gang, which he wasn't. and they shot him down. And so instead of her being angry, right, she did community outreach, and she created programs to unify people from the streets and know that they can, you know, put their anger somewhere else and do it in a healthy way, and a way that it's supervised, and that in the end you show good sportsmanship.
You know, a big thing with gangs and stuff like that, like they're not going to go anywhere. And the way that people are brought up in bad society, in bad neighborhoods and stuff like that, sometimes is the only thing that they really know until somebody walks in and opens their eyes. And it's just such a shame how much violence is out there. And with the kids nowadays, this is what really excites me about mixed martial arts. It's like you get to see people go in there and actually handle, you know, their stress, and it really helps you grow as a person. Like, honestly, you're probably going to learn more inside the gym than you are going to learn in high school. That's how I really feel, because the way that people are nowadays, just like even with the music, TV, like it's over the edge now with like people are so desensitized towards violence. It's ridiculous.
I agree. And I believe there's a complete disconnection with mind, body, and spirit. And a lot of times we have distractions like television, like you said, the media, even the food that we're eating. A lot of times we don't realize in how much it affects the mind. When you're training and you know that you have to be at top level performance, you start realizing what you're eating and how it's affecting your body. You know what I mean? You realize how the stress factors that surround you are affecting your body. You realize what it is that when you come into the gym, you're not going to go in there and just do your thing. You have to be a team player. Of course, you have to do it for yourself. That's part of the whole fight journey. But it's knowing that you're aware of where you are at mentally and physically, and especially emotionally. And a lot of times, you're going to see a lot of people see the worst in them and the best in them. And that's where you get the best coaches to step in and know exactly which way to maneuver that and which way to bring them at their best. You know what I mean? To touch base with what their issue is. And that's knowing people on an individual basis and not putting a generalization on people. When you think of gang members, you're going to think, well, they're a unit. They're all the same. They're all violent. They're all angry. They're all proud about who they are, right? But the truth is that these are all guys with individual stories that come from possibly broken homes or with generations of their family members being in gangs, and they don't know anything else. You know what I mean? So to look at it from the human side of it, not just because they shave their head or whoever they are and trying to represent a street, there just has to be some other kind of therapy.
Another outlet, yeah.
Some other outlet for them to become themselves as an individual, not as a gang. You know, and when you're in the ring, a lot is shown. Your self-discipline, your patience, your strength, and, you know, they were disrespectful sometimes, and then there was times where they knew that we were going to battle it out in sparring. You know, I'm 5'1". You know, I'm a 5'1" female. Like, I was in top shape, but I learned a lot, too. I had to deal with all these different personalities. I had to just start my first fight game with all these men. And I was so used to just training with Lily, and she's like, it's time to get you ready to fight. You know, and you can't back down. And that is that fighting spirit that she brought out of me.
And I think that's really interesting, because you were saying that's what she had to do. Like, there was no other females out there. Like, she literally had to hide herself to pretend like she was a man. So it's so interesting. That entire story is extremely interesting. Like, what did she do? Like, shave her head? Like, how did she get away with, you know, competing as a male?
Yeah. She used to cut her hair. She used to tell me all these stories. Like, after training, we would just sit down and she would just tell me all these amazing stories about how she pioneered as a woman, you know, in the boxing community. And she did. She had all these famous brother, you know, family that were all boxers, kickboxers. And they would dress her up as a boy and cut her hair short, I think, when she was like a kid. And then when she started developing, then it became a different thing. And the brothers were training her. And she told me one time that You know, if they would knock her out, they would just leave her in the gym and not even wake her up, and she would wake up in the middle of a dark gym. And the brothers did as a lesson, like, you shouldn't be getting knocked out. That's how the way she was raised. That was that toughness.
Yeah.
Of they don't care if you're a woman. If you're gonna fight, you're gonna fight. And I think she's also very spiritual. She was a Christian woman, so it was funny to see how hardcore she was. Yet, like, you couldn't cuss at the gym, or you couldn't, you know, like, you couldn't come you couldn't smell like cigarette. Like, she was all about respecting yourself, you know, and she was tough. Tough.
I can just hear in your voice and your laughter, like, what a big part or what a big role she actually played in her life. So what happened, like, when she passed away, where were you left? You said that you were kind of in a bad place at that moment. Bring us there right now. That day that it happened, where were you left? Like, what was going through your mind? What was your plan? What did you think was about to unravel? Can you bring us there and kind of paint that picture for us?
Yeah. I was in junior college, and I was doing finals for biology or something crazy like that. And, you know, her niece, Gloria, which I used to train side by side with, and her daughter's Roxy. She's actually the American Olympian right now for boxing on the junior division. But Gloria at the time, she contacted me, and she says, you know, she's not here anymore. And I was like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? I had just spoken to Lily a few days before that, and she was like, I'm so excited. Oh my God, you're going to finish this class and we're going to set you up to fight. I'm like, we had this amazing conversation about how far I've came, how she's excited to put me to fight. I was telling her how excited I was. I was pushing through with school. I was working. I was living on my own. I was just like, you know, Lily, I just can't wait. You know, it was just such a positive conversation. And when Gloria called me to give me the news, I just couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. And from that point on, it was even hard for me to see a punching bag. I had all my gear, and the strangest thing happened when I was living on my own. I put all my stuff in a drawer, you know. Everything, that my shorts, my gloves, I put my bag away. I couldn't even touch a bag. I just couldn't even think about any of it. And she meant everything to me, you know. She just brought the best out of me, and yeah.
It's like she built a house for you pretty much, and like then she's no longer there, and you're like stuck in the house, and it's just like, you know, I totally understand that. Like when I lost my girlfriend, I couldn't watch TV. I didn't, you know, the only one thing I enjoyed was, you know, listening to music, and I was just you're just you're in disbelief, and it took me years. Literally years. Like I put myself through hell, falling down the rabbit hole of addiction and just trying to run away from that feeling of being unhappy and actually dealing with what happened. And I was really young at the time that happened to me. And I can totally relate here, where it's just like all of your emotion is just gone. Like
yeah. I got overweight. Same thing with drinking. I was drinking heavenly. Like I was in college. I was starting to go for my bachelor's degree. I graduated all the way with my master's, but during the time, it was like I was not fit. You know what I mean? I was no longer training the way she was training me every day. It was almost like I just completely disconnected from all of that. And I've been an athlete my whole life. Growing up, you know, I was in wrestling as a kid. In high school, I was a wrestler. Soccer teams, basketball. Like, my parents always made sure, like, I was active, you know? And all of a sudden, when that happened, I went into a depression. And I noticed that I was trying to suppress everything, in a sense. I tried to pretend like it didn't affect me the way it did, and it did. And the strangest thing happened is that my parents, before she passed away, they went to Thailand. And I wasn't really aware of Muay Thai. And they came back with a bunch of Muay Thai gear for me. They're like, look, it's for boxing. And I was like, that's a different sport. that's Muay Thai boxing, you know, like, and they brought me like colorful gloves and shorts and stuff like that. And Lily was telling me, she's like, those are cool. You know, I want to sell some at the gym. And I said, yeah, go ahead. Before I went to Thailand, the drawer that I had put all my gear in, I was living by myself, was open, and all the hand wraps were on the ground. And one of the Muay Thai shorts, which I would use for just boxing, were on the ground. And it weirded me out. I was like, who came into the house? Right away, I went on, like, you know, I live by myself. I need to, like, scope the house out.
Yeah.
I got a knife, you know, like, who's here? And I felt that was a sign before I left to Thailand on this backpacking trip that she was telling me that I was going to do something with Muay Thai. She didn't take out my boxing shorts. You know what I mean? There was Muay Thai shorts out there with all the hand wraps. And whether people believe it or not, I know that experience happened. It was real. And I knew in some divine way it was, again, guiding me. You know what I mean?
I'm somebody that really believes in, you know, spiritual. I do believe there is life after death. I just feel like we're in a vessel right now. You know what I mean? And when we pass away, our energy's still going to be there. And I totally believe stuff like that. And it really warms my heart when I hear stuff like that, because you're the only one that knows. And if you are saying that, you know, it's so unlike this bag to be open, for the hand wraps to be out, like you literally have no way of actually explaining it or being like, you know, oh, maybe this could happen, maybe that could have happened.
Oh, I tried.
Yeah. Try to make the best sense of it.
I tried to explain it to myself. And I sat with it and I prayed about it, and all I kept getting was like this feeling, this, and I said, and they came to me and they said, I need to start training again.
How long after was this, after she passed away, and when this experience happened?
Oh, it was years. It was like a few years that happened, because it was right before my trip.
Okay, so you were at that moment in your life, well, getting ready to go to Thailand for what exactly?
As a tourist, like a 50-day backpacking trip around Thailand. And, you know, I watched a Lumpini fight, and I didn't even know, like, the importance behind watching a fight in Lumpini. I was just, like, being a tourist. And I left inspired. I left, my heart skipped a beat in the way where I wanted to run and go to a bag. You know what I mean? I wanted to train. It just planted a seed in me that I said, I know I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to train in this.
Well, like you were saying at the beginning of the interview, it's like, you know, these fighters, they go through a lot. You learn a lot about somebody when they're in there, and, you know, going through adversity, or, you know, losing the first round, and how do they come back? How do they maintain their cardio? And just like, it's so inspiring to watch, because we are all going through a battle in our lives. Maybe not inside of a ring, but we're all going through a battle. And if you're going in there and learning, you know, you're going in there and just learning more about yourself in that moment than you really will in a whole bunch of years. It's literally one of my favorite parts about doing interviews with fighters. It's like, these people are, you know, either embarrassed on national television. How do they bounce back? How do they keep a smile on their face? How do they stay motivated? Because you have to stay motivated every morning. This isn't just like a hobby to people. Like, this is a lifestyle. You know,
this is life.
Yeah. What you're putting in your body.
You eat and breathe and sleep Muay Thai.
Exactly.
You know, or the sport they're in.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it.
So that
you don't,
that helps you boost your drive again, I'm guessing, when you went over to Thailand, and just like you felt that passion again burning.
I just felt it.
Yeah.
I felt it. And I even stopped, like, at one point, I'm like, I didn't even feel like drinking I didn't feel like, I knew something switched inside of me. And I started training Muay Thai in the Valley, San Fernando Valley, and I was hungry. I went from over 200 pounds to 125 pounds.
Wow.
In a year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah. I started sparring whoever I could. I started training as hard as I could. Like, there was nothing that can stop me. I was like, I need to do this. I need to train. I need to fight. Like, I was just in it, you know what I mean? And when I graduated with my bachelor's degree, I was going to go to India to work with an orphanage. I do a lot of humanitarian work. And my coach at the time, crew knocklead at Muay Thai School USA, was like, you can go to Thailand and train and also help their neighbors, India and Thailand. I was like, you know what? You're right. I didn't even think about it, you know? And so I showed up to Sasari Papa Gym in Bangkok. I was looking for like different orphanages there, and something just didn't click. It felt like I was at the camp and I was just like, I'm in the city. I don't know. It just didn't seem like the fit where I was looking for. And I had a friend at the time named Alex Anusi, and he was a Muay Thai fighter. And he was with Luprabat Muay Thai, which is the oldest Muay Thai camp in the world. And he was the first Westerner male ever to be allowed to step in there and
Wow.
live there and fight for them. And he says, Jessica, you want to come to Luprabat? You would be the first woman at one of the oldest Muay Thai camps in the world to
Wow.
be here. And there's an AIDS temple with monks, and then there's a drug temple with monks. Like,
Explain that. What do you mean?
so Buddhist monasteries give back to their communities a lot, and they do a lot of free services. And so this AIDS temple houses people dying of AIDS. A lot of times, due to their beliefs and a lack of education, sometimes people who are dying of AIDS and the poverty levels will not have medicine, and their families will just, their villages, literally the communities will be like, get out of here. This is bad karma in your life. You created this. And they're completely discriminated against. Sometimes they die out of hunger, you know, of course, lack of medicine. And these monks created a temple to be able to house these people. And literally you'll see taxi drivers come and dump people, and they have nothing. And these monks will take them in and feed them. And a lot of times, at the time that I started, there wasn't enough money for medicine. It was a medical bed. And in Thailand, there was no AC, there's no TVs. It was like feeding them, changing diapers, people dying with open sores. Like, it was...
That's awful.
I worked in the hospice. Yeah, I was a nurse when I was 17, 18 years old. And so I was able to use my skills at that hospice. My best friend actually joined me, and for that trip, she was there to volunteer. She didn't do Muay Thai, but you go in there and you see the monks just giving back, holding them, talking to them. And I would be massaging their feet. Just, I spoke English and they spoke Thai. And at that time, I didn't know Thai, you know. I speak somewhat Thai now, but just to have that human contact, just to know that somebody was there for them.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't dying alone. They were dying with dignity. You know what I mean? Even to the point where the cremation process, the ashes would be sent back to the temple because the family didn't even want their ashes because they thought it would be contaminated.
Wow.
It was that bad, and it was a lack of education. So this monk,
That makes sense.
who's a scientist, had a normal life, knew that the villagers weren't going to listen to him unless he was a monk. So he ended up going into monkhood and dedicated his life as a scientist and a monk to go to different parts of the country and educate people about AIDS.
Wow.
And raising awareness and money for the temple. And so I went there to volunteer. I also went to the drug temple where I cooked and cleaned for 150 monks. And people from around the world actually go to, so the first temple, the AIDS temple, is Wat Pha Pa Nam Phu, if you guys ever want to make donations. The second temple is Tom Prabok. And so there you have all these people from around the world who come, and they get free services to detox from drugs.
Ooh.
And it's not a normal detox
Oh,
place.
I think I watched a documentary on this. Like, they go through hell, like, they drink something, it, like, makes them throw up.
Yes, with the drums. Yeah, that's where I volunteered.
I watched an entire documentary on that. Yeah, people from, like, England, America, they go there to literally detox their bodies. And, like, I was watching the footage of it, and, like, it literally looked like they were on the verge of death. But then afterwards, you see, like, them actually start recovering mentally, physically, and it's just like, wow. But what they put themselves through to go through that detox, it's like a rapid detox, it looks like.
So part of my training when I was at Luprabat, the monks suggested that I did the detoxing before my fights, which I'll tell as a story for a little later. But yes, it's intense. It's really intense. And a lot of the people who actually go end up becoming monks themselves.
That makes sense.
You'll see a lot of Westerners who are monks, and it's crazy. You know what I mean? You go in there and
soul searching, which is kind of like what you were doing going out there. Was soul searching, correct?
Oh yeah, it's gonna get deeper. This was the beginning of it.
Yeah.
So Alex told me about, of course, these temples and Luprabat, and he says there's no address. I would have to take a bus to Bangkok, which was, from Saraburi province and Praputabat, and head out 2.5 hours to pick me up in Bangkok and take me to this camp, because he said, like, there's no address and I don't know how they're going to accept you. You know what I mean? So I was like,
because you're the first girl, correct? I
was the first woman, yes, to train, live there, and fight for them. But at the time, just to even step in and try to get accepted, and no one spoke English except Alex. No one spoke. And he says, you know what, Jay, I'm leaving to Singapore. I have fights coming up. I'm going to be coaching. I'm leaving in 2 weeks, and that's it. Like, I can only be here 2 weeks. Like, I can only help you so long. And I said, you know what? I don't care. It's okay. Like, I've been preparing for this moment. Like, something in my soul knew this trip had nothing to do with me. I knew that this had to do with everything that I believe in just rights, women's rights, human rights, helping, just, doing God's work in that sense. You know what I mean? Like,
why would, like, you're the first woman, but what was the belief? Like, why didn't they want women there? Just because it's not part of their culture? Like, women don't have that many rights?
Culturally, women are seen below. And even when you take a picture with a monk, it's disrespectful to be at the same level as they are. You would have to go on your knees and take a photo with them. When I'm in the, just to give you some stories at Luprabat, the first thing that the owner tells Alex, it says, tell her that I'm not going to change anything for you, and I can kick you out whenever I want, and I'm not going to accommodate to you. That was like the first welcoming, welcome to Luprabat. And for me, coming from who I am, like, I just was like, whatever, I'll earn my spot here. That I've learned to work hard my whole life. This is what I got to do. I'll do it. You know what I mean? So every day, I didn't get to go in the ring right away. And guys would cuss me out. They would spit at me. I would be in the bag. They would move me off the side and tell me that it's their bag. And I would just go on the side of the bag and start punching and just copying what they were doing. And they were, like, annoyed by me. Like, why aren't you giving up? Like, why don't you just leave, right? They were just like, I just didn't stop. And finally, when they were letting me train, like holding pads for me, I wasn't allowed to go on the top rope. I wasn't allowed to go on the middle rope. I was forced to go under the lowest rope every day. Every day. Because
so
that's
they're really testing you, it sounds like. They're really seeing if, like, this is what you want. Like, they're trying to make you break, it almost sounds like.
No, because the whole village at the time, when I would go to the night market, to just go get food or something, you eat the camp food, but you can go to the market, get some fruit, whatever you need. And everybody just disliked me. They said, why? They believe in they're very superstitious, and they believe a woman's energy is like, it's super taboo, first of all, culturally, but it's like witchery. It's going to bring bad luck. You're going to, you know, once the fighters touch you, they're going to lose. That's literally the way they're thinking. And their pride, it's their national sport. And for them, this is one of the oldest Muay Thai camps. And for a woman plus a Westerner to come into their national sport and try to prove that they're part Muay Thai, like, they did not like that. They were just, like, disgusted by me. And it got to the point where the mafia contacted Luke Rabat and says, we have marked guns on her.
Wow.
Like, when she's running, you better take care of her.
Wow.
Straight up. Like,
they told you this? Like, or is this something that you found out later on?
They were letting me know. They were letting me know. And I was there for almost 4 months. And
they thought you were, like, cursing
hell.
their village, like, bringing bad energy. That's what you're pretty much trying to say. Like, they wanted you out.
Everybody wanted me out, including the whole village. Everybody wanted me out. And before I left from Sasiri Papa Gym that I was there for, my crew yelled at me on the phone and said, I don't want you to go. And I was like, why, crew? Like, I don't understand why you're yelling. Because that was his camp, Luke Rabat. And he said, no, they're gonna treat you bad. And I said, it's okay. Like, it's okay.
How are you okay with this, though? Like, I feel like there's so many people out there. Like, you must be so strong. And obviously your story here, it sounds like you are obviously very strong. And as the story unfolds, but it just seems like anybody I know, if they're feeling awkward or feeling like people don't like them, even me, like if I'm hanging out with like a new group of people and I just get that vibe, I don't like staying around. I don't like sticking around. So what made you stay there and just be like, no, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere.
I saw it. I visualized it, and I said it's going to take 10 more years before another woman can walk in here and be treated as an equal.
Oh, yes. Okay. You were literally the pioneer. Wait, so this, okay.
There was no way I could. Yeah. There was no way I can back down. There was no way that I can allow what they were, and they, you know, I didn't go in there feeling entitled. I didn't go in there and say, I'm from America. I deserve to be treated equally, right? Because I'm going into their country as a guest.
Yeah.
Who am I to tell them what to do, right? I just wanted to prove that I love the sport and that I'm a fighter. I wanted to show them that I'm going to their community and that I want to help. You know what I mean? Every day, it was waking up an hour early or 2 hours early. Actually, I'm lying. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. We would head out to temple and do volunteer work. And then I would go to the camp and train still all day. And then still sometimes after training, I would go back to the other temple and help. So it was a lot of hard work. And during the day, the camp owner, the gear was so bad at the time that there was holes in belly pads, you know, and these are all champion fighters.
Yeah.
These are all top level Rajdaman Lumpini champions. And this equipment sometimes would tear up my elbow from how hard it was, how old it was. You know, you would see them kick and it would hit the crews and all the little kids would be on top of the crews massaging them because they were so hurt. And I told the camp owner's wife, I will teach you English, and in negotiation, you buy new gear for them. All at the same time while they were all hating on me. Like, because I didn't care about me at that time. I wanted to alleviate, the situation for what it was. And there was a lot of unhappy fighters. You know what I mean?
When did you start feeling kind of accepted?
So I earned it. It wasn't until the 3rd month, and they brought in a girl from like another village, another female Muay Thai fighter. She was bigger than me. And they said, clinch her. And they thought for sure I was going to get scared because they brought this girl in to clinch me. And everybody was surrounding the ring. Like all the top fighters, the managers, everybody was just like, we're going to see this show right now, right? It was like kind of twisted. And I out-clinched her. And everybody was shocked. And the manager at the time looked at me and said, "You're fighting in 4 days at Addison Stadium, and you need to be ready." And I looked at him, and I didn't know how to say it in Thai, and I remember speaking in English, like knowing he wasn't going to understand, but I said, "You guys haven't even been training me." How can you even put me to fight? I didn't even have an amateur fight in America. And he just said, "I'm going to go pro." And I was like, oh my God, right? So I knew, for whatever reason, I knew I had to do it. I had to prove to this camp, and I had to prove that women can do it. Like, something just said, "Jay, what do you got to lose?" Like, just do it, you know? And I went to get my Moncron blessed by one of the, an Arjan, which from the drug temple. He's a beautiful human being. He designed the whole temple, but, you know, he blessed my Moncron for 2 days. And he said, you know, 80% is you and 20% is in this Moncron and my PJs. So then when we're on our way to the fight, I see 3 elephants. And it was like a really positive sign for me, right? I felt like a sudden sense of peace. It was like, you got this. You got this. And prior to that, the gym manager ended up talking to monks. The monks ended up coming to the camp without me telling them anything and said, "Do you know that this girl is helping us for free? Like, I hope you guys are treating her well." Like, the monks had my back because they knew how it is over there. You know what I mean? Then secondly, the manager flew his son in Thailand. You know, they don't have that much money. Flew his son from Japan and to come and hold pads for me because he knew the camp didn't want to train me. And in the middle of training me, my toe hit one of the buckles and it ripped off my entire toe now.
Ooh.
It was gooey. It was really gooey. And this is how naive I still was in regards to Thai culture versus Western culture. I said, I'm not fighting anymore, right? I'm drinking whiskey because I'm in freaking pain.
Yeah.
And the crew that is like my main crew is sitting next to me drinking with me. And he hits my other leg and he said, he said, "Chok Moy Puni." And he hits my leg and I said, "Did he just say I'm fighting tomorrow?"
Wow.
And I looked at him and I was like, you know, I was on one drink, but it was like I was still buzzed, you know, because you don't drink when you're training. Yeah. Like, obviously I was like already like buzzed off of like my first drink. And he says, "You have another good leg. Like, I don't care that you have a ripped toe, now you're fighting. You have another good leg." And I said, "Why are you and I'm like, in English, of course, assuming, I guess, if he understands. I'm like, "You just gave me whiskey. Like, why are you telling
poisoning
me?
my body?" Yeah.
Why are you telling me I'm going to fight tomorrow?" It's like, lack of communication. So I, like, put my whiskey down, go to my room. I, you know, put myself, like, in a meditative state. Like, you can do this. Whatever it is, just, like, hope she doesn't stomp on my toe because it's bad, right? It's gooey.
What did you do? Really quick, just to pause right there. In that moment, you realize, all right, I'm fighting tomorrow. You go back to your room. How do you calm yourself down? You got your toe that's obviously mangled. What did you do to really calm yourself there?
Well, my best friend was there and the one doing humanitarian work with me. And also, I had a lot of people in America and my fight team, my family, my friends. I had a lot of people who just believed in the journey. And a lot of the journey was hidden because I didn't want anybody to call the embassy on the camp because of what was going down. But when I announced that I was fighting, it was only a certain amount of people. And I just knew there was a lot riding on it. And I knew that I had to be strong. That was it. You just got to do what you got to do. You can't question it. It's no time to feel sorry for you. It's no time to feel scared. There's no time for that. you just got to be ready for war. And I found out she had 20 fights already in her record. I had 0.
And
not
no
even
amateur. Yeah, wow.
So she was the champion's daughter of Luperbot. He was a famous champion fighter from Luperbot. And his daughter was like, I'll fight her, you know, because everybody disliked me in that town.
This is a true underdog story here. Wow.
So
really, this is the most interesting story I've ever had on this podcast so far. So I'm loving this sounds like, I literally sound like I'm listening to an audiobook for like Kickboxer Vengeance or something. Like the female, like this is an amazing story here.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it gets even more interesting.
So the tides are stacked against you. They're flying this girl out who has 20 fights. You have a mangled toe. You're trying to stay positive.
And I show up to the stadium, and I'm thinking to myself, why is this girl dressed already? We're the main event. Like, there's still all these fights going on. Like, I showed up, you know, with, like, you know, my sweatpants and just, like, you know, to warm up a little bit, and it's already hot there, you know. But I showed up with my bag with my gear, and she was already, like, ready. And I thought it was strange. And so when I went to, you know, one of the people there, I said, okay, where do I change? He pointed to an overflooded toilet, which in Thailand, they don't have regular toilets. It's like a hole on the floor.
Ooh.
And it was overflooded. And there was just like a few tiles that lifted up. And he says, that's where you need to change. And I said, I want to go to, like, you know, Hongnam, like, can I go to another bath? He says, no. And he stood there, standing there for me to change.
Wow.
And I remember...
as if it can't be any more uncomfortable, right?
Right, because I said my toe's going to get infected.
Yeah, oh yeah.
There's like feces here and urine, and you purposely are putting me in an overflooded bathroom, like, you know, toilet, and there's water all over the floor. And I grabbed my flip-flops, and I said, you know what, climb over those pieces of porcelain tile, and you better do a good balancing act, because that toe's not getting infected. And it took a while, and I still got water all over me, which was, you know, obviously not good. I remember I bought a bottle of water and I rinsed myself off.
This didn't throw your psyche off at all? Like, you're getting ready for a fight. Like, this didn't throw you off?
No. It actually pumped me up.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I'm just, like, looking at everything. And I'm like, holy crap, I'm actually in Thailand right now, about to fight. And I'm going back to being this girl who first saw her first fight in Lumpini, and all the sparring and all the training I did with all my teammates and my coaches. Like, it was this one defining moment where, like, I took a deep breath, and I'm telling you, it was just peaceful. It was like everyone was yelling, like, okay, you're gonna get up. Someone from the camp came up to my face and said, we're all betting against you, just to let you know. So we're gonna make a lot of money tonight. And I looked at them and I said, okay, like, you're betting against me. That's okay. And I put my Moncron on and everything like that. And I do like the 3 bows in the ring, and then I'm starting to go up, and the whole crowd goes crazy, starts yelling at me. I have actual video of this where the men are pointing at me. No, 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 no. I couldn't go up the ring with my Moncron on.
Really?
They didn't want me to jump over the rope with my Moncron on, because women are not allowed on the top rope. Women are not allowed in the middle rope. You are supposed to crawl underneath the lowest rope, because that's where women are seen. And you can't wear that Moncron doing that. And it was just like, I remember I was just like a deer in headlights, like, what is going on? Why is everyone angry at me? Like, and I go in, and my cornerman is holding my Moncron, which they only spoke Thai. There was no one speaking English except my one friend that was there. And she's not a Muay Thai fighter, you know? And they're just pointing and what to do. I go down the lowest rope, then they put the monk on. I do the white crew, and we battle all 5 rounds. Second round, she's crying. Everybody's yelling at her. The father is being mean to her, like screaming at her, like, what are you doing, crying? And like, I felt so bad at that point. No matter everything, all the discrimination that happened to me, at that point, I just felt sorry for her, you know? And
what a moment that is. Like, your opponent, somebody that you're like almost not your enemy, but somebody that you're fighting against, here's you, where there's actual people that are being really difficult with you, forcing you to do all these awful things, making you feel really uncomfortable, and yet here you are in the corner feeling bad for the other girl. I find that very interesting.
I don't know. I knew at that moment that it wasn't even about her fighting. She was just, her father was completely disappointed in her, and she felt bad disappointing him and all the ties that were there. It was a sense of pride, and I felt like she got all of a sudden this pressure, but she was injured by me. And I just, on a human level, was like, I'm sorry, you know, like at that point I was like, I don't know. I looked at my friend, I was like, she's like, JJ, don't, you're going to fight her, keep fighting. And I was like, thank you, you know, because a part of me just felt bad. And then she gets up and she had rage in her eyes. Like, I'm about to kick, you know, your butt right now. And like, I'm just like, okay, she's back, let's do this. And that round I get an asthma attack, and I hear my coach's voice at the time, Dan Mayed. He's just like, go, 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 you know, and I don't have no cornerman yelling at me, telling me what to do. And I, with an asthma attack and everything, I dominated her all 5 rounds. And when they raised my hand, that was it. I cried. It was like the whole time when they would hurt me physically, I had the coaches trying to punch me or kick me or knee me certain ways, and I would come back bruised and go in the room and just, I wouldn't cry in front of them. I would cry in my room, but it was like in front of everybody. I was just like, only if you guys knew the hell you've been putting me through these past 3.5 months. You know, it was just, I won, and I earned my spot. And that day, the camp was like, you can go eat with the fighters now. You're one of our fighters here.
Wow.
You don't have to pay us anymore. You're a contracted pro fighter here now. And it was like, it was life-changing, and it was beautiful. It was traumatizing, but I knew it was worth everything I went through.
So after that moment, you weren't getting hate from the mob or anything like that anymore? Like, that was the point where like you proved yourself? Or was that still going on?
And suddenly at the night market, people were giving me free fruit.
Wow. What a turnaround.
They're like, JJ, here you go.
Wow.
Have a dragon fruit. You know, like, it was, I changed a village's mind on how to see women in the sport at one of the oldest Muay Thai camps in the world. So that was, I knew it wasn't about me. It was about women being in the sport, and that we deserve our place here. That's what it was about. So from there, they offered me a pro contract, but I was going for my master's degree after that trip. And I said, look, it's going to be, 2 years. It was supposed to be like almost 3 years. And I ended up doubling all my classes, the ones they did allow me to do. And I grinded in school.
Was it weird coming back to America after, going to Thailand, going through all of this? Was it kind of like you came back home, obviously a different person, but what was it like when you came back to America?
Well, the fighters, comparing the training and comparing the circumstances that these fighters are in, just to give you an example of the feel of the hustle and the desperation that goes down in Thailand. I remember going into the fighter's house one evening, and everybody was laughing, like, "Oh, JJ's here," and you hear something going on in the closet, like ruffling, and you're just like, "Okay, what's going on?" And they were just like, watch what's gonna happen. And one of the fighters, he was probably like 16 years old at the time, comes out with an older gentleman, and they're all telling me that he prostitutes himself for money because he hasn't been able to win his fights.
Wow.
Yeah. Or I had fighters that were fighting, and then you would see their families beat them up because their parents are drug addicts and they didn't make the money they needed. Like, it was
So
seeing
real.
children for the first time fighting and getting their ribs bashed in at like 5 years old.
What do you think about that? Because that's been going on in the MMA scene for a while. People talking about this, what they're doing over in Russia, and obviously what you're saying. How do you feel about putting children in there like that? I mean, I played football as a kid. I did, I was an active kid, but I've seen some tapes that are just like pretty disturbing, to put the lamest terms.
As a Westerner, we'll never understand it.
Yeah.
I think I'm.
What just happened here? I think we just lost her. Give me 1 second, guys. Fuck. Fuck. Fuck, fuck, fuck. 1 second, people. Had the phone plugged in. Just give us 1 second. What an inspiring story. I'm going to be giving her a call back in literally 2 seconds once the phone turns back on. But, let's just sit for a second and take everything in so far. She has gone through one of the most inspiring stories I've ever heard on this show. From her just starting out, meeting her friend showing her the way into the scene, and being like, even though you're a woman, you're not going to get treated any different. You're not going to get treated any better. And then she passes away. And she's lost for a while. And I know a lot of people out there that can relate to that. I can totally relate to losing somebody and also losing yourself within those moments. To hear the story of how she had her bag and was opened up, and there's the wraps and the shorts, and that is just like, what if she didn't see that? You know what I mean? Like, you got to think about the butterfly effect. What if she didn't see that? Because that moment, it seems like it was like, wow, I need to get back into this. I need to start my life back up again. I need to get back into what made me happy. And then she goes out to Thailand on this backpacking trip and sees the Muay Thai fight for the first time at Lumpini Stadium. For those of you guys out there that don't know, Lumpini Stadium, look it up. They actually just rebuilt it. My co-host James McSweeney just fought in the brand new Lumpini Stadium, one of the most famous places in the entire scene. She goes there, she gets inspired, and then she's the first woman, the pioneer, the first woman to go into one of the oldest gym in Thailand. And no one was giving her an easy time. They were looking at her like the shit on the bottom of a shoe. And she keeps saying, like, over here, obviously, things have changed over the years, women's rights and stuff like that. But over there, she was literally not, she keeps saying it, not doing it for herself. She's doing it to open a door. She was granted a very important, a door was open for her that has never been opened before for somebody else. I think that's the best way to put it. And guys, I'm still waiting for the phone to turn back on. Weird that it wasn't charging on there, but here it goes. It's turning on, so we're going to call her back now. And just this entire time of what she was going through, people, rooting against her, the mafia saying, you better watch your girl. She's got marked. She's marked. We're going to kill her. That is extremely scary. And then she gets matched up with a fight. She's never had an amateur fight before. She's never had a pro fight before. And here's this girl with 20 professional wins, or 20 fights, I guess. Let's call her back. And she goes in there getting ready with a torn foot. This is just one of the literally the most inspiring story I've ever heard. Hey, Jess.
Hey.
Hey, I lost you there for a second, but let's jump right back into it. I mean, where did we just leave off there?
We were discussing how it was coming back to America after the whole experience in Thailand, and then we kind of dabbed into children and their way of.
That's where we were. That's exactly where we were. So, all right, so let's pick it right back up there. I mean, when you hung up the phone, I was just kind of like recapping this entire story. And I was like thinking about the butterfly effect. Like, what happened if one thing was different? Like, what if you didn't see your bag opened up and the wrist wraps out and the shorts, and like, what if you didn't do that? Like, it's just crazy how things work out. And I give you so much credit for going over there.
It didn't make sense when it happened. It did when I sat with him. I said she wants me to train again, but I didn't correlate the Muay Thai shorts yet until after I came back from Thailand. Like, because I said my parents bought me all this gear from Thailand when they went to go visit. So they just said, this is boxing gear. She can totally use this in America while she trains. But the fact that those Muay Thai shorts were out, it wasn't until, which is the next part of the story, that I was a pro fighter for the next camp, that I was running. And I realized that was it. She said that was my next moment for fighting, was Muay Thai, in her way. That's how I felt. But she was telling me, like, you better start getting prepared because you're about to jump into something new.
So, yeah, you had your first professional fight. You say that you went back to school. So now you're a professional fighter. What happens next? Because obviously, like, I know where you're at now. You've managed fighters and stuff like that. So what happened next? So
what happened next, I actually came back, and my coach and his wife, own stand-up promotions, and they did a Commerce Casino fight, and they said, we want you to be on the card. And I said, perfect. But they said, you're going to go amateur, though. And I said, okay, like, I went for it. I was, like, excited about the whole thing, what just happened in Thailand. And I was dealing with finals, and then I was also dealing with my mom coming back out of the hospital. And it was a weird time, and everybody had bought all these, like, VIP tickets and everything like that, and I couldn't just quit. I was like, it was a weird moment where my coach put me to the side and said, I don't want you to go hard on this girl because you just came from Thailand doing a full rules Muay Thai fight. I need you to just take it easy. And I said, what? Like, I still, like, lost more weight. I got conditioned because it was for weigh-ins. I was like, what? Like, why are you, I have all these people wanting to watch this fight, and I'm like, and I know how to control my power, but it was just like, it almost felt like he was telling me, like,
to throw the fight in a way. Yeah.
It was just like, and in my fight,
this is in Thailand, correct?
This is in the United States.
Okay, this is the United States.
This is my one and only fight I did in the United States, and it was an amateur fight. Coming back from Thailand, doing a pro fight, and they called it out, like, third round. She won, and I was just like, okay, everyone's booing, like, it was a bad decision, and everybody, all my teammates coming off the ring, were cussing at me, like, what the, like,
they wanted explanation.
You now pull your trigger. Jenny, we know how you are. You get down in the ring. And I was just like, I couldn't even say, like, crew told me not to hit this girl. Like, you know what I mean? I couldn't say I'm upset because of schooling and my mom, and and this girl was harassing me for 2 days straight, like nonstop, having her friends call me. She was calling me. It was really stupid. And it was completely different of the energy that was created in Thailand. And then all of a sudden I deal with somebody who's super insecure and superficial, and it's all about the fight music and coming out, and I'm going to prove something with my ego. And I wasn't there. Like, I just went through this deep spiritual journey working with people dying with AIDS, the drug temple with monks, like fighting for women's rights. And then all of a sudden I come back and it feels like there's so much noise, like unnecessary noise. And I remember my ego was challenged. Like, you just lost in front of your whole family after coming back from this amazing win. And now you just, like, lost in front of everybody, and your teammates are disappointed in you. And I just kind of shut down a little bit. Like, I didn't know how to process it.
Yeah.
But it was a blessing. It was a big blessing, because coaching amateur fighters, coaching pro fighters, but even that, especially the amateur fighters, when they deal with losses, they think it's the end of the world. They put everything they had into it in their training. And I feel like when I share that story and how I changed my mindset on everything, and then how I looked at the positive, and how it was a true challenge for myself to learn to be in my own personal power. I didn't need a coach. Of course, you have to listen to your coaches. But I should have used my instinct of all my training to do what I needed to do in that ring. You know what I mean? Of course, listen to your cornermen, listen to your coaches, but in the end, you're the one in there. You're the one battling it out, you know? And that could have put me in danger. And out of respect, I listened.
Yeah.
But also I had to learn the bigger lesson on a deeper level. You have to be responsible of owning your own personal power.
This is eye-opening to me, too, because what you're saying here is, like, you know, over in Thailand, these people are literally fighting to live. You're talking about the kid in the closet. You're talking about, you know, AIDS and people, you know, not wanting their family's ashes and stuff like that. Like, you just went through, you had one hell of an experience over there, and then you come back and it's like, all right, I'm in America, and it's more aimed at the entertainment side of it, not like the actual combat and what it actually means and stands for. And it's more of the entertainment and ego, like you're saying, like you want to be Hulk Hogan or some shit. Like, I can see what you're saying, and I've been to Muay Thai fights. I've been to, you know, multiple lion fight, and I'm now just hearing your story, I'm getting like a new respect. Like, I've talked to a lot of fighters after the shows, and they've told me stories from Thailand and stuff like that. But you really just put into perspective for me about, you know, what it really means, what Muay Thai really does mean. It's not just entertainment. It really stands for so much more. And you see that with the fighters too, like how peaceful they are. Like last night, Conor McGregor and Khabib get into the fight afterwards. You would never see that in a Muay Thai fight, ever.
No.
Never.
No, it's disappointing.
Yeah.
But it's there's a lot of factors that you really, no matter how ugly it is outside the ring culturally, the minute you step in, there's a respect there for you. You know what I mean? Like, I have hundreds and hundreds of stories of being discriminated against. And, but even coming back to America, when I came back, the gym needed a manager, they needed a coach. My crew left, and, you know, so Roy and Corona and Dan Mayed and me, and started working as the crews in the gym, and I was managing at the same time. I was wearing every hat in that gym, and I was going to school. And
what did you know about managing? Like, what was your experience with, like, managing besides, you know, just really just being in the scene? Like, when they asked you to do that, you took on the hat, like you said, but what did you know about it, and what comes with that responsibility? Like, for people out there that are listening to this, like, you manage a fighter, what exactly do you do as a manager?
I managed the gym. And then, of course, I was teaching the classes, and then we would coach and corner. But there was an actual side fight manager. I was the general manager of the entire gym. Like, running every single program in that gym, hiring, firing, creating organizational systems, and like, everything top to bottom, everything in my schooling, everything in my business background, and then still having to connect with every fighter and building them up and building this gym as a business. That was my role. So, yeah, it was 6 years being with Muay Thai School USA. It was a beautiful growing experience. I learned so much. And, there was a point where I didn't fight anymore. I was invested in helping the business grow and the fighters grow, And once I graduated with my master's degree, 2 weeks out, I flew to Thailand because I got a pro contract for Nornaxin Muay Thai Camp. And Nornaxin Muay Thai Camp was from the original manager from LOpez. And he saw all my hard work. And he's the one that flew his son from Japan to come and train me.
Okay, all right.
And he said, look, we're just starting out. Right now, we're hated from everybody because he was the one that created all the champions at LOpez. And he says, they're unhappy that I left, LOpez. So I'm just letting you know that we're basically fighting for food. But I believe in you, and I just want you to know we're going to grow, I promise. And I said, I don't care. And so I showed up. I was living in a little shack. And we were farming every day, and we were fighting for food.
How old are you at this point in the journey?
At that point, I was, I think, 29. No, 30. Yeah. No, it was 2012. Yeah, I think I was like 29 or 30. And my first pro fight, I think I was 28.
Wow.
Yeah, I started late. And that's another factor that we'll get deeper into the story. But in Thailand, you train 6 hours a day. You're running on the average like 20K and up kilometers per day. You're doing pad work, bag work, sparring, and a lot of clinching.
Yeah, and my co-host James McSweeney, he trains out in Thailand. He has a gym out there, and he just all day long, like
all day,
literally
all day.
Yeah,
all morning, all afternoon. You take a nap in between, and I live in a camp in the middle of the jungle, where there are no restaurants. There's the closest hospital is about maybe 60 kilometers away. I've been bitten by scorpions. I've been attacked by viper snakes. I've been chased by wild dogs. I've been chased by bulls. You name it, bats. Like, there was millipede. I've ended up in the hospital so many times being in those conditions. The bacterial infections that you get, like the stomach infections you get. You're in the middle of the jungle, and it's not in the city. You're not going to have anything that's accommodating to any Westerner. You're not going to be sleeping on a bed. You're going to sleep on a mattress on the floor, which is like their type of mattress. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and James was telling me, it was like the people out in Thailand, like they'll literally just grab a snake by the tail. Like they're so used to it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you're living with nature. You're one with nature. There was a point it didn't affect me anymore. I knew how to be cautious. Like, I would be in the ring and suddenly there's a scorpion coming up on the ring because it's out in the open and, like all kinds of stuff. But you just move it. I don't kill bugs, and everybody made fun of me all the time. I would just like scoop it kindly, like put it in my glove and then pop it out somewhere.
That is so funny you say that. Jungle. I've been doing that for the past couple of years now too. Like something clicked in me. Like, I don't know, I got like pet rats, and I've always loved animals my whole life, and it's just not my decision to end anyone's life or anything's life, So if I see a bug inside, I'll grab it and let it go outside, or even if like they get stuck, like if a fucking fly gets stuck in my screen, I'll try to help them out and get them out. You know what I mean? Like, it's not my decision to end anything's life, No,
it isn't.
So I feel you there on that.
Yeah, thank you. I always constantly get made fun of. They're like, how can you be a fighter, but like you won't even like kill a fly? I'm like,
I mean, you got to feel some type of way, like when you see a scorpion after he got stung and stuff like that. But, you know,
I got stung twice.
Oof.
And I remember training the next day with a dead arm. I was literally punching with one arm and the other arm was dead. It was just like kind of hanging there. And the camp was like, this is how ruthless it is. I was just like, it was a poisonous scorpion, you know, and they were just like, only certain people are allergic to the poison. So if you start going blind, then you come knock at our door and we'll take you to the hospital.
Oh my God.
And I was like, literally looking at them with fear, like, you know, and they're like, okay, JJ, go to sleep. You have training tomorrow. And it's just like, in America, everybody would freak out.
You're in a panic.
Like,
yeah, they'd be in an uproar.
Yeah, it would be like, oh my God, we all have to go to, you know what I mean? It's like, it was just like, no, you know, there was, when I got attacked by a snake too, it didn't penetrate through, you know what I mean? But everybody the next day when we were running, all the fighters would pretend to, show me a piece of branch that looked like a snake. And like, oh no, they would like point to it and try to scare me. Look, there's a snake there. And they would all be laughing so hard. Thai humor there is like insane. It reminds me of Mexican. Seriously, like they will bust your, you know, like just to make fun of you and get a laugh out of it. You know what I mean? The crews, they'll sweep you in the middle of hitting like 100 kicks, and then on the 20th they'll just sweep you when you're on your butt and you're just like, oh my God. Like, everyone's just laughing at you, like, haha, you know, like, we got you. But I think that also taught me not to be so serious about everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I feel like here in America, people are very dramatic. They overhype things. I don't know if it's because, you know, this day and age, we're watching so much TV, social media, tweeting out everything that we do constantly. Like, everything's a big deal. Everyone thinks they're a freaking rock star here in America. Everyone thinks that they're the most important thing on earth here in America.
I think it's important to know that you're worthy and that, you know, everyone deserves the best. But I do feel there's a lack of humbleness and a lack of connecting on another level of things, looking at it on a deeper level. I feel like people identify with superficial things that think that that's part of their identity, and it isn't. It isn't.
Yeah.
That's fake shit. That's like, that stuff comes, like, it's surface stuff. Like, I want to know the real you. Like, under pressure, how are you going to react? You know what I mean? When you have true happiness or amazing people around you, are you going to have a good heart and be grateful for it? Are you going to look at your blessings or just focus on what you don't have and lack? You know what I mean? And I feel like too many people feel these voids of insecurities. You know, we come from a country of consumerism. They think they need these things to identify themselves.
That's true.
Even in the Muay Thai scene here, I've seen fighters go in, look, I got these new pair of gloves, and look at my shorts. Now I'm like the best fighter because I have these cool neon shorts. It's like,
yeah,
that doesn't make you a fighter. I don't care. I really don't care if you're wearing tennis shorts or if you're wearing Muay Thai shorts. I don't care. I want to see how you kick. I want to know how you're training. I want to know how respectful you are when you come in. Like, to me, that's what's important. And I think people lose that. They stop reminding each other of the importance of values and ethics and respect. Like, and being honest. You know, if you're having a bad day, like, I gave a lot of respect when you admitted to the audience, look, I'm having a bad day. Like, things got to me. I allowed them to, get to me. Accountability is the biggest part, I think, in anybody. With anybody. When you take accountability and say, I attracted these things in my life, I allowed them to be part of my life. I made them who I was, and now I'm suffering from it. There was just a lesson from that. It was no one's fault but yours.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You want to come in a point of being upset and holding on to that? That's poison. You're poisoning yourself. You know what I mean? And it's no one else's fault.
It's so weird because I'm somebody that, like, I care about other people's happiness more than I care about my own sometimes. And people take advantage of that. When they see somebody being extra nice to them, they take it and they run with it sometimes. And they have no respect for you.
That's my whole life, but
Yeah.
I learned something from that. It's not their fault. Their perception and their world and the way they see things, they're takers. That's who they are. But we put ourselves in a position where we didn't put healthy boundaries. We didn't put a position of saying when something didn't resonate well, like it didn't feel good, it wasn't like, you know, just a good, solid, balanced exchange of energy.
Yeah.
Instead, it's like, oh no, we glamorize people. Oh no, but they are nice. Oh no, but you know, that day they brought me a bagel or something. You know, like you start putting excuses for people. And I think that's when we have to check ourselves and say, no, let's get to the nitty gritty of it. Look, I did this for them. I love them. I did it unconditionally without expecting anything. But they don't have a grateful heart. I don't need to invest myself anymore in this because it's not a balanced relationship. I'm giving myself too much of me, and it's thinning things out.
Yeah.
Like, and then you cut cords. Like, I feel like right now, I don't have time for any of that anymore. I don't have time to even feel sorry for myself because I sit down, I analyze it, figure it out, and I put my big girl panties on and say, life moves forward. I'm not going to hold on to the past, and I'm not going to have anxiety about the future. I got to be present every day and be in my power and know my worth. And my worth is what's most important, is that self-love. Because however much you love yourself is how much love you're going to give to this world.
I talk about this a lot on the show. It's a big part of what the show is. It's how do you stay motivated day after day? How do you wake up passionate, grinding for something? Because things do come up in life where it's like, you know, things are unfortunate. Things happen. You lose people or whatever happens. What do you do to practice your mental health and, you know, staying positive a lot? Like, obviously a lot has to do with, like, even the things that you eat and stuff like that. But what do you do personally to, you know, even just start your day off right?
Every day I start off with prayer, and it's mostly gratitude, and then it's being open to higher source, obviously, and things that my heart's at and wanting. Then I put visualizations. Then I put affirmations. And affirmations is not, oh, I want to go to Thailand next year. Instead, I'm like, I'm going to Thailand next year. I am strong. It's not that I want to be strong one day. Like, no, it's knowing that you are confirming and putting yourself in that vibration and that frequency and aligning yourself with your soul purpose. And I think, again, there's so many distractions that people don't go back to that part of themselves, that what is their true purpose here in this earth. It's just they get comfortable. I'm good here at this job, but this is my girlfriend and I'll take the minimum. Like, everything is just but everybody accepts me this way. All throughout the years of what I've done, everybody's criticized me. I've had aunts who are so supportive. They've even, like, financially, like, here, mija, like, on your trip, go donate this or take care of yourself. Or I've had aunts who tell my family she's going to come back in a casket. Why would you let a woman go to Thailand and live there for so long and fight in this sport? Women don't belong in that sport. In my own, like, in America, where I've had teammates, and this is all projection out of fear. All of it's fear. And they were like, you can't do this. You're not going to hang. This is going to happen to you. And it's just like, and I have to politely tell them, I don't allow you to speak over my life like that. And this is my choice. And I've had every sign that God's been leading me this way. And this is what I need to do. Whether you want to support it or not, thank you for your opinion. But I'm not going to now fuel my journey with fear because of your fear.
Build the nest in your head. A lot of people are like that. Like, people out there are just so mean and nasty, and maybe even if they're not, like, even if they're just worried about you, it can build a nest in your head and stay there, you know?
Those are behavioral patterns that are created from earlier generations that get passed down of fear.
Your family belief system.
Everything that people lack of is out of fear. That's all it is. That's all it is. They don't challenge themselves because they are fearful that they will fail. They are fearful of what people will say. They are fearful of everything. It's just fear. And I think the minute you get to the root problem of any issue, when you actually connect with yourself and you say, why am I creating blocks? Why am I self-sabotaging? Why am I suddenly super depressed? Why did I stop eating healthy? You know, when you start going out of alignment of things and you're truly not in a good place, that's the time that contrast is what's making you face yourself. You have to not distract yourself with drinking, taking drugs, watching TV. Oh, I'm going to go entertain myself now by helping other people, right?
Yeah.
No. You need to face yourself. You need to isolate yourself, write it down, whatever you need to do, and face those fears, face those patterns, face those issues. Because sometimes it's not even an issue that is in the present moment. Maybe it's something that happened before that is surfacing that it's time for you to face to help you grow to the next level.
There's a lot of people in my life I've literally had to cut out, like a lot of my friends, and just the way that they're living, the way that they think, the way that they judge. Like, for instance, I have a friend that I recently had to, tell him, listen, man, I can't hang out anymore. Your energy is really throwing my energy off with, making fun of what I do, saying that I'm not going to be able to make it. I need to get a real job. I need to fall back on a safety net. And to me, it's like, man, if you only knew the joy that, interviewing fighters, and even our conversation right here, this is life-changing for me to like hear and put your story and journey into perspective and mix it with my own. It's just like, you don't get that in a lot of places. And I hate being around people that just don't support, like even people that they mean the best, like, man, how much longer are you going to be able to do this? And I feel like fighters can definitely relate to that because, it's really hard in the fight game, making money and, being able to support your family and stuff like that.
We allow people and we allow to be put in boxes by society that is what is expected from us. Like, we give that power. Like, if I'm not at my age right now, they're like, why are you still like training and fighting and doing all this stuff at your age? And you have a master's degree in business. Why don't you take over your dad's real estate company? You can be making bank right now. It's like, because that's not in alignment with who I am. And that's your perception. Don't project your issues on me. You know what I mean? Don't project your fears on me.
And what did you see as like a child growing up? Because it seems like you are definitely you're somebody that just continues to persevere, just keep moving forward and overcome these obstacles. Did you see that with your family, your mother, your father?
Yes.
What's the story with them?
So my dad and my mom were immigrants who came from Mexico. I'm a first generation Mexican American, and they had 3 daughters. And when my 2 sisters were almost 10 years apart, were 1 year apart, they had kids, they were cleaning houses and saving money to go to college. And they were working multiple jobs. And they would have my sisters, like, on the baby little backpacks while cleaning people's houses and stuff like that. And my mom ended up becoming a social worker. She became a political activist and human rights activist. My father ended up becoming an engineer for NASA. He was the janitor at NASA and then later on became the engineer there as an immigrant. And they dealt with a lot of discrimination their whole life. Since 5 years old, they had me marching with Cesar Chavez's family for farmers' rights. My mom always had me involved in the community, understanding what's happening to the underdog.
Yeah.
People that don't have that, people who fight for them. And she would go in there and do whatever she can. My mom and dad housed people who dealt with all kinds of family issues, and everybody lived at Casa Lopez. You know what I mean? Like, my dad put people through college. My dad found out someone didn't have a bed. He would buy them a bed. So my family always taught me, Jay, you do you, but always, like, give back. You know what I mean? Always pay it forward. Be proud of your roots, who you are, and never back down. And I'm so happy for that. And I have solid sisters, Susan, Monique, who just are my rocks. You know what I mean? My parents are my best friends. Like, they remind me who I am and always to stay humble. They will call me out the minute anything goes in my head. They will call it out in a second. You know what I mean?
And that's healthy to have people that are honest with you. Keep it 100.
Oh, yeah. We're a very honest family.
Well,
very supportive family.
You know, I know a lot of people out there that, like, you know, for example, the other night I was at my buddy's house. They're having like a birthday party for the roommate. The roommate comes out and was like, yeah, we're going to go to the bar. Do you guys want to come? And I was down to go, but my other two friends were like, you know, yeah, we'll go. And then she walks back inside and they start talking. I don't really feel like going, this and that. Why didn't you just tell her that a second ago? Now you're like creating this whole awkward vibe. Like, what's the point in that, you know?
Insecurities.
Yeah, and at our age too. Like, it's just like you need to keep it real. You need to keep it 100.
But it's their issue, man. Like, as much as I have a tribe of just friends that are beyond amazing. And we can talk about anything. And it's just always just, you know, it's always just soul, like from the soul, you know what I mean? Keeping it real. And it's just, it took me a lot of years. I've had to go through a lot of people the way you discussed how you've gone through a lot of people. And I think it's because when you're on a certain frequency and you're trying to literally reach a certain level of following your purpose here, people come in as lessons, you know what I mean? And people stay. And I think it's about forgiving yourself and then forgiving them and knowing that there was purpose for them coming in.
A reason, you know what I mean? A season, or a lifetime, they say. People come in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
But we can't sit there and victimize it like, oh, they hurt me or they did this or they did. No, it's like they came in there with a bigger purpose to learn something about ourselves. Like, how did we react when we were irritated by them? Was it because we saw something in them that we saw in ourselves? You know? And it's just, a lot of times it's like you have to look at things on a deeper level. And then sometimes something is just, it's not worth your time. You know? And you just got to find people that you know that are going to create balance in your life, you know, that are going to bring genuine joy and keep you mind, body, and strong, keep you accountable on that.
One of the most important things in life is to make sure that your energy is harnessed. Like, I'm somebody that really likes to stay positive. My grandfather was a deacon at church, so like I was always around, like, you know, that spiritual essence, or like, you know, the stories from the Bible and stuff like that. And there was always something about it, like I understood the stories, like, you know, the lessons there to be a better person. I don't know if I believed all the stories like word for word, like, you know, burning bushes, but the lessons that were there are just, you know, how to be a better person. But throughout the years, I feel like it's not the religion that I'm connecting with. It's like a spiritual connection. Like, everyone has their own version of their higher power.
Right.
What do you like to practice with higher power? Like, do you meditate a lot?
I meditate a lot. You know, I culturally, I'm attached to the Catholic religion.
It seems like you really look into like the third eye, I feel like.
So I'm gonna tap into that a little bit right now.
Good.
But I don't believe in organized religion in general.
That's what I think was weird about it. The organization, like,
yeah, I don't like to be told. My sister is gay, and she wanted to do missionary work, and the church was totally against her, and she was just so spiritual, so religious, and my whole family was like, screw this. You know what I mean? Like, she's a child of God, and suddenly she was hated on. You know what I mean? And
over something that doesn't affect anybody else.
Yeah, and I was like 14. I was a huge punk rocker when I was younger. I was just in the punk rock scene. I was a Hollywood kid, club kid, raver, like kids. Ska scene. Yeah, I was just a
ska scene.
I was
a
straight A student, but like a, you know, desmadrosa, what you would say in Spanish, just going out there and being a Hollywood kid. But seeing how they treated her, and we were a very religious family growing up. Parents were always so cool and open-minded, but they that was something they instilled in us at a very young age, was religion. And they said, no, no way, we're not going anymore on Sundays there. There's no way. How can they treat her this way? And for me, I still go, I'll still go. It still resonates with me with the Catholic Church. But I would have to say I'm more close to just being very spiritual, Buddhism, and a little bit of everything. There's always so much to learn from every religion. You know what I mean? And in Thailand, this trip, I had a year contract where they paid for my food, my stay, everything. I was completely sponsored in Thailand, which is unheard of for a Westerner to get full sponsorship. And I ended up fighting a girl. She had about 50-something fights ahead of me. I was on like my 5th fight, and she kicked my ankle in. She was 175 pounds, and I was at 130.
Wow.
Or 120 something, yeah. And I almost beat her. I fought off 5 rounds with a broken ankle. And that was the first time the whole crowd was chanting my name, J, 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 J. I pounded my chest because I was so angry that I was fighting this girl. She was way too big. All my cornermen were like, we're going to throw in the towel. We messed up by putting you to fight her. In Thailand, though, I was very angry at the time because I said, man, my camp didn't back me up. They put me in these very dangerous positions. On the average, I was always fighting girls with 20 to 50 fights ahead of me, on the average. Never had a fair fight, I won some. I knocked some girls out with a kick to the neck. I've won, but I've lost too, really bad. And it was never easy. It wasn't like here in America where you're the same weight and you have, 5 or 10 maybe in between fights, like difference. And, it's there in Thailand, sometimes they'll even lie and say, yeah, it's 50, but it's actually 100. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And knowing that I was in these cities that no one spoke English, and I was purposely fighting in rural areas, I remember I fought all 5 rounds with a broken ankle, and I was just elbowing her face so hard to the point where she threw out her mouthpiece and she was giving up. And everyone thought I won the fight, and I was like, oh my God, I got her. I fought with a broken ankle since the first round, and she ended up winning, which was okay. I didn't at that point, sometimes you don't even care. It's just the battle, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember there was no way I was going to recover from a broken ankle. And I flew back home, and I was upset because I had a condo and I gave everything I owned. I even gave my car. My sister recently, had a bad divorce, and I was like, take the car. I gave my furniture a family in need. They had just migrated from Mexico. I gave them my refrigerator, my furniture. Like, I went on this, like, very spiritual, like, I'm going to go live in Thailand for a year. I gave everything away. I had, like, all this very corporate business clothes I had. I just donated it. Like, there you go, And when I came back, it was just like I had to start everything new. And I was working a lot. And I met Maya Musa. She's an energetic healer. And
meaning what? What's an energetic healer? Like using energy to heal, correct? Like stones,
yes.
Stone therapy and stuff like that?
She's just
Crystals?
highly talented healer, and she's psychic. And definitely you should have her on the show. She has some amazing stories.
Like an empath in a way, like she can pick up on energies.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah, but she doesn't even, she knows the future, and there's things that she'll let you know, but she doesn't like to talk about future. She likes to heal in what's going on in your body.
Okay.
What she sees that are the root causes of disease, what is the root causes of your depression, what is going on with you to clear you so that you're ready to be okay to go to the next thing. You know what I mean? We don't realize how much we all hold on to. And I got myself sick when I came back. I won't go into details of it, but there was tumors in my body that became cancerous. Ooh. and they put me on this medication that had a really bad side effect, and I lost my vision for 3 months.
Wow.
And my muscles collapsed, and I got really depressed, and to the point where I thought I was never going to fight again, to the point where I said, I can't even walk up the block. I can't even drive right now. And I ended up going back to the gym. I was still working there. And I got my vision back. And she calls. And I met her first as a student of Muay Thai. And out of nowhere, I haven't seen her in a while. She calls and says, hey, Jess. And I'm like, hey, Mayada, what's going on? And she's like, I can help you. And no one knew what was going on with me. I didn't want to tell my students that I had cancer. I didn't want to tell my fellow, coaches. I didn't want to tell no one what I was going through, because I feel like when you put energy into it, it can make it worse.
Okay, yes. I
didn't want people to visualize that I was sick. I didn't want them to feel sorry for me. So a lot of people didn't understand why I wasn't sparring anymore, training hard. It was such a weird time that I was holding on to this secret where I was dying, I didn't know. And when she called and said that, I said, who the hell told her? There's nobody except my immediate family that knows what's going on at that time. And I said, what are you talking about? I played it off. She says, I know you're sick, and I never told you this, but I can help you. And I was like, and then from that point on, I already, for a good month, that month, I started listening to Louise Hay, Tony Robbins, Jack Canfield, all these motivational spiritual teachers. And I kept doing visualizations of me running again, me being in Thailand again, me fighting again. And I started really praying really heavenly that the doctors wanted to do surgery. And I didn't want to have to go through chemo and surgery. And so I knew that would be very damaging to my body. And I prayed and prayed, and I said, God, please, I want an alternative in how to do this. And so I started researching about green juicing and eating, and that's how I started learning to eat right, to get everything right in my body. And Mayada then called, and then she started doing a lot of work on me, and it was 3 months later, I had no more tumors.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it was a year later, I was completely cleared on everything. Yeah. And, again, there's sometimes no, clear understanding from a lot of people, but it didn't matter to me. I believed it. It worked. It was effective. I saw what it did for me.
So you stopped taking the actual medicine that the doctors were giving you that was making you sick, and you started doing natural healing.
I went completely natural, holistic, all the way. And I believed in the power of prayer. I believed in the power of aligning myself and knowing that I can mentally push this through. I can fight this as long as I take the right steps every day. I had a schedule, as if I was at work. I had a schedule. Okay, you're going to eat this time. You're going to drink this amount of water. You're going to go outside. You're going to ground yourself, with Mother Earth. You're going to meditate. You're going to visualize. You're going to create feelings of happiness. You're going to, it was taking responsibility and control over my life, knowing that I put myself in a position that I was sick. Knowing that I got myself there, that was the biggest thing. It wasn't about genetics, and it wasn't this just happened to me, poor me. No, I put myself there because I allowed my mind to take over my body. And now I needed to clean it up. I couldn't allow myself to ever get to that point.
So it changed your entire way of living and opened up even more. Your story just keeps getting better and better and better.
Yeah, so I ended up going back to Thailand. I have a beautiful best friend by the name of Larnie. She believed in me and Mayada too, and she says, we're going to Thailand, and you know, we went, and it was amazing. And Mayada, when I was fully healed and everything like that, we took another trip this time, and we're working on some projects for, you know, women in Muay Thai, and we went together. And she's also a Muay Thai fighter. She's done MMA. She's a beautiful human being altogether, not only a spiritual healer, but she's my best friend, business partner. And I've just had some solid people in my life that are just true blessings. And whatever I've gone through, they see the best in me. And even when I couldn't see it, they saw it. You know what I mean?
That's special.
I have like a best friend, excuse me, named Sona, and she always calls it out. Like, the minute there's any kind of switch in me, like, all of these girls will just call it out, like, yo, where the hell are you coming from? Like, we know your strength. Why are you even going down that rabbit hole right now, you know? And I just have beautiful people around me. In my camp, Nornax and Muay Thai camp, I realize it's not their fault with everything that happened.
Was setting you up with these fights
at that time, and that's how Thailand is.
Yeah.
Their ethics is way different over there than it is over here. And when I realized all the fighters were doing the same thing and fighting the guys with even more fights, or, you know, even fighting more than I was, because I was limited being a woman. I was just a showcase on the side. You just realize, like, they were so supportive of you, and they financially supported you when they had nothing, you know? And so when I went back to the camp, I was bringing a lot of humanitarian aid to the fighters, running shoes, jackets, first aid, condoms. There's an AIDS epidemic there. And I ended up fighting for Nornax and Muay Thai. And then now this trip, I was there for 6 months, came back 3 months ago, and now I'm a coach. And I did promotions for One King Tong, promotions for Rashtraman Stadium. And I went from being a fighter to now breaking gender barriers as a female coach in Thailand.
You know what?
And that was a big deal.
That is a huge deal. A huge deal. I know, as a matter of fact, I know a fighter who has a female coach, and there's a lot of people who are like, they still don't understand. In 2018, it's like, finally people are breaking barriers, whether it's with, you know, the LGBT community or whatever it is, speaking their mind, or, you know, females becoming coaches for male Muay Thai fighters. Like, I really like the way that things are going. You were talking about your sister. My little brother's gay, and he can't get married in a church and stuff like that. Like, and now, like, you're seeing so many more people being accepting of the changes, because it's time for changes. Our old way of thinking is definitely dying off, at least little by little. I'm not saying it's going to change overnight, but you are seeing changes.
There was still discrimination every day at this camp. It wasn't from the owner. The owner, I didn't tell him the full deal, because I said, I need to handle this. I've been through this before in Luke Prabat. I can handle it here at this camp. I would grab pads to hold, and, you know, you're doing a lot of hardcore training. We would have Japanese fighters, Chinese fighters, and the Thai fighters. They're all champion fighters from K1, Muay Thai, and they would come to the camp and train, and we had our fighters that live there. And I would put on Thai pads and the belly pad and get ready to train these guys. I'm 5'1", okay? Thais can be a little smaller, but the rest of the dudes weren't, you know? And the crews would take off my pads off of me and give me the pads that weren't that good at all, that were thinned out, that were used up. And they said, you shouldn't be coaching. And it got to the point where they were starting to tell me, we're not going to train you because you're a woman. And it was like, okay, this is all over again, right?
Yeah.
And after a few months of dealing with that, I decided to tell the owner, because he left for a week to Japan. He opened a new Muay Thai camp called Nornax in Tokyo. And when he came back, he, you know, no one wanted to train me. No one didn't even allow me to train the fighters. And that's what pissed me off the most, was that now you're affecting my coaching with these fighters. You know, we had fights coming up. I was already invested in them. And then all of a sudden, the fighters are not allowed to say anything, you know, because out of respect for these older men, you know. And I said it, and King Tong straight out in front of everybody had me go on the ring and hold bets for the top fighters. And he said, you know, and next, and I was handling it, and he was like trying to show them, she can handle this, and she's my crew. And he made sure every time we were eating dinner or we celebrated something, I was sitting on that table right next to him with the men's table. No other women were allowed, but I was allowed as a crew. And that was a big deal in Thailand, after knowing where we're put at and where we're placed at, like as if we're back in 1950s.
Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah, so it's like living back in time over there. And in the city, it's probably different. I would say I've heard a lot of, you know, women still deal with discrimination, but they have way more opportunities. They have more English-speaking people. They have food that accommodates them. They have medical attention. They have a lot of things. And I think I've purposely put myself in these positions to bring change. And it's just, that's all it's been.
It had to be so frustrating for you, though, to like literally have to relive the discrimination all over again at a different place. Like, have you ever had like a girl come up to you and be like, just thank you for everything that you've done and how you've opened up doors?
I have right now, like, one of my Muay Thai sisters is living in Phuket, and she's a fighter there right now, and she's a pro fighter, and she always says it's not what would Jesus do, it's what JJ. What would Jay do? And she always jokes around.
You already put down the road work there.
She'll call me from Thailand, yeah, and she'll just like, this is going down, this is how I'm being discriminated. Like, she knows I've been there.
Yeah.
She knows how I've handled it, and it's a dance. It's a very delicate dance. You can't just react.
That makes sense.
You can't be like, you just said this, you know, like, no, you have to almost say it with your eyes. You have to almost show it with hard work. You know, when I was training 6 hours a day, I was training this camp. I didn't think I was going to do it. I'm like, I'm 35 years old. There's no way that I'm going to do 6 hours again.
Yeah.
I did. I grinded. And then I tore my meniscus, which wasn't cool.
I've done that before. It pops out.
It sucks. So, and I'm still dealing with that. And, but it was like, it's just like, I can't even believe that I was able to do it, that I was able to be at that level again. And that my body was just like, you can do this. Because in the beginning of the first times of being in Thailand, I didn't realize how uneducated I was in regards to hydration, into proper stretching, like recovery. And in Thailand, there's none of that. There's none of that. You just train. Eat, sleep, train. Like, it's not... You do get your massages and everything, but it's just not...
Well, what are you guys eating over there? Like, when you're going through training and stuff?
Just to give you an idea, you see a lot of chickens running around, and then the next day you don't.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah, everything is, like, homegrown, and then you get, like... Night market will have, like, fresh fish there, and, you know, just normal Thai dishes.
And what did you change? Healthy. Like, how did you change up your diet from, you know, then till now, you know, eating healthier and stuff?
Well, throughout the years, I learned to really get myself strong. I had a fitness trainer by the name of Stacy, and she stepped up and started training me and conditioning my body so that when I lost muscle, because you lose a lot of muscle when you're no longer eating a certain amount of food and you're just overtraining. So I was being educated in how to properly get my body ready for that trip. Whether it's the vitamins you're taking, the probiotics you're taking, you know, the juices, you can't just get vegetables over there. You get parasitic worms. parasites, everything. It's very dangerous. The way you go to the bathroom there a lot of places don't have toilet paper. Again, it's that porcelain hole.
Yeah.
And just water. And so food handling is completely different there. And so I would go with like a green mix, you know, and buy water bottles, and then I'll get my protein mixes, and then I'll get, you know, now all of a sudden my BCAAs, like all of a sudden I was like being prepared. And this trip I felt the strongest than ever, you know. But before that, I just said, if I'm here in Thailand, I have to sleep like a Thai, eat like a Thai, and train like a Thai. Like, that was my mentality. Like, I'm not going to come in here with a Western state of mind. I'm just going to be open. You know what I mean? Like, it was a dream come true in some weird way, because my first degree was sociocultural anthropology, and I was like, I'm living with the Thais and learning how to live like them. You know, like, it was this, like, odd thing where I was excited to actually follow their lead, you know. But your body's not accustomed to it the way theirs is. Their bodies have been training since they were children. And I started really late, you know, and the food that I've consumed here is completely different than over there.
Yeah. I mean, you can even see, like, with the vegetables that we have here, how long they stay fresh compared to, you know, real, you know, fruits or vegetables that will, you know, you got to eat them that week, or, you know, within a couple of days of them turning ripe.
We live in corporations run our food here. That all of the chemicals, everything that is processed is done so that they don't lose money.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care in what's happening to our bodies.
Yeah.
The FDA, in some level, is being bought off by corporations, and they're getting away with putting dyes, with putting things to last longer. It doesn't make any sense. And people still try to buy organic, and that's still sometimes not even organic.
I've heard stories about that too.
In comparison to other countries. But that's our people. We've chose to vote in people that are allowing this. You know what I mean? And I don't want to get into politics because, you know.
Oh, God, yeah.
All the different things. But I think people just need to be more conscientious and use their instinct and their intuition, and when they're eating something. And again, it's mindfulness. It's connecting with your food on a deeper level. It's knowing and how it's nourishing your body, not satisfying a craving.
Yeah, your taste buds, and yeah.
Oh, I feel sad today, or I had a good day today, I deserve pizza and a beer. Like, I get it. You should enjoy life.
You need to fuel your body healthy.
You also, yeah, you need to nourish your body.
Yeah.
You need to have a strong mind, and spiritually, also, the food will also block you from allowing certain things to come in on a spiritual level. It's almost like it's just muddy water, you know? So, yeah, I think it's just everybody taking accountability in what they put in their mouth. That's it.
That's something I definitely need to change and look a little further deeper into, because like you're saying, like, it can change your entire mental stuff. Like, what you're consuming can definitely influence your actions or your reactions for, you know, your emotions and all that, you know?
Yeah, and I think though we're conditioned and programmed, and I mean programmed because that's what TV programming is they're going to throw a commercial in your face and tell you the next burger deal, or they're going to tell you to go to this restaurant. Or you don't even know how those things are prepared. You know what I mean? You just know that it's a part of, it's almost a normality here to go to McDonald's and pick up a quick burger because you didn't have time to cook. Like, it's about proper preparation. When you go to the store, it's reading the ingredients, it's meal prepping, it's just understanding that if, for instance, salmon, is it farm raised or is it actually caught? You know what I mean? Like, there's a huge difference on what nutrition you're going to get from a salmon that is farm raised compared to it naturally being fished. But that's, again, searching for information. I was forced. I felt like God was like, I'm going to stop you from everything you're doing right now, and I'm going to have you focus on yourself, because you've been fighting for this movement. You're trying to fix this business or you're trying to help these fighters, but you're not helping yourself. And I was depleting. I was done. You know what I mean?
Putting your body through the ringer.
And when I was forced to heal myself, and obviously I got other things that help heal me, like my family and my Ada and all these other factors, you know, I had a closer relationship with God, but it was just like suddenly I connected with food, and suddenly I connected with everything I was doing. Even my subconscious, like when I started thinking something, I started realizing that I was creating a vibration in my body. The minute I had a bad thought that was created, in a few minutes, I allowed that to ruin the rest of my day.
I know that.
And I was giving that power.
Mm.
And I was like, oh my God, look at the way I'm talking to myself. Look at the way I'm talking to other people, and I don't realize I'm creating this vibration. And that's where I started being more conscientious about what I was eating, what I was saying, what I was doing.
So let's jump back into where we were just talking about with you having to prove yourself again, going in there, having to hold the mitts for, you know, some of the top athletes over there for 1FC and all that. I mean, what happened after you went in there to prove yourself, like, I can coach, I can manage? Where does the story lead from there?
So from that point on, like I said, I had fights scheduled in Thailand, China, and Japan to fight 2 weeks again before I fought. My knee blows out in the middle of running, and it was a moment again where I was like, you either can, you're across the world right now. And at this point, I had a lot of more people really just excited about this journey. They knew only certain people have known this story. It was a big deal for me to actually publicly say this whole story for me, because I was so afraid that people will get a bad idea of Thailand or get or not completely understand it. Plus, I had to process it in a way and understand that it was all for nothing. Like, you know, like I had to know that this was for a higher purpose. This was to share a story that people can possibly connect with and know that they have to follow their heart and follow spirit on a deeper level, because it will take you places. It will change the world in its own way, you know? This
has been a really therapeutic interview. Like, it really, like, you felt me, like, remember some things. Like, we were talking about, like, the third eye and stuff like that, and I've been through some things where it's like, you know, you have revelations and stuff like that. I've also, like, eaten mushrooms and gone through all that spiritual stuff, and you're really bringing back a lot of things that I realized that I just lost touch with. And I think I needed to hear some of this again, especially with what I've been going through this week. Even the moments that we talked before this interview was just so calming and soothing. Like, your entire story is going to help so many people out there, even if they're not out in Thailand. Even if girls are listening to this, like, a lot of people that listen to this are between the ages of 16 and 29, I think it says on my analytics. You know, the people deal with a lot of struggles in high school and stuff like that, and I feel like your story is definitely going to help people. And this is why I really think you should, like, write a book or something, because it's literally, I feel like I just been sitting here listening to like watching a movie. Like, I'm playing your story in my head as you go, and it's so inspirational, and it's going to help people out there. So I really thank you so much for, you know, feeling able to do this interview, feeling able to share the story. You did not paint a picture of Thailand in a bad way. You know, you think about it, it's like, here in America, I've been saying the entire interview, it's like we're so brainwashed by media and TV and music and stuff like that. Of course, if you go over there, you know, guy or girl, they're going to look at you some type of way. And no matter where you go, Canada, anywhere. Too. Yeah, anywhere.
I was here coaching, and there would be guys walking in the gym like, where's the coach?
Yeah.
To my face. And I'm like, I'm the coach, and they'll walk out. They didn't even know who I was, what I've done, where I am technically. They saw me for what I look like, and to them I didn't fit that category. So it didn't just happen in Thailand. It would happen here. You know what I mean? And before this trip to Thailand, this last one, I connected with a coach, Crew Felipe Ramos and Christina, in Team Sandoval. I think you've actually interviewed Jordan and some of the other guys there.
Shout out to Jordan. Jordan.
Yeah.
Good people.
Oh yeah. And he helped me find what it was to be a student again. It was like I had this role as like wearing all the hats at the other gym. It's almost when I would train, but they were like, "You're the coach, though." You know, like it kind of almost went away of like my training and that focus. And I would end up training myself a lot. Or I would jump in with certain fighters and spar, or I would jump into classes, but it wasn't still that. I needed a real coach. I needed somebody who pinpointed everything that was going down with me mentally, physically, and where I was self-sabotaging myself with training. You know what I mean? I was that coach helping everybody, but for the first time, I knew at this point I needed real help. Like, I needed direction again to find myself as a fighter. And it was a blessing when I met Crew Felipe, and he's such a technical nerd, and he just, like, broke it down for me. Like, straight up broken down for me. And I started learning Dutch style. He got me back to my roots in boxing. He does Mexican style boxing. You know, and then it is obviously traditional Muay Thai as well. He incorporates all of it. And, you know, he has successful fighters. They're all champion fighters at that gym. But even his wife, Christina, did a photo shoot for me. And I said, "Oh my God, you know, how much is it?" She's like, "It's free. We believe in you. We want to promote you." You know, like, it was suddenly, it wasn't me giving. It was just, they gave from the heart, and they welcomed me into their fight family. And I found myself again, that fighting spirit.
And that's where you are now today, still, correct? With that gym?
No, so I moved to Vegas.
All right.
I just moved to Vegas, and I was so sad leaving Team Sandoval. And now I'm with Alliance Muay Thai, with Crew Sean and his wife Sunny and their whole team, and they're amazing. Crew Felipe suggested that team, and that's who I went with. And they're amazing. They're amazing. I've been training again, and I'm back in that rhythm. But and being here, I also connected with Al Rodriguez from Iron Shin Muay Thai.
Shout out to Al. Yeah, shout out to Al for connecting us.
And that's what I'm also announcing, is that we're going into partnership, and we hope to bring change to the Muay Thai community.
So when you say partnership, can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, we're going to be working with Iron Ship Promotions together, running it together.
This is exciting news because you guys have brought me a lot of fighters. Honestly, I'm going to be real honest. You have been the best interview of the entire year, maybe of my entire career, your entire story. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to your teachings of, you know, getting some of the people that, you know, you've been training and stuff like that, and some of the fighters that you guys got over there, because there's such a comforting vibe that you guys give off. Even Al, just, I don't know, it's like real family, I feel.
Oh,
like,
he's a sweetheart.
really look out
he's
for his
down to
people.
earth. Yeah, he's totally down to earth. He's just been completely supportive of my journey. We're, you know, like BFFs. But at the same time, we have like this vision of what we want to do for Muay Thai, and it's not going to just stay in the United States. We're hoping to expand on a globally and bring top level fighters and create opportunities for them. And what he does for fighters, it's not a paying job. He does it from the heart. He does this so the fighters can benefit 100%. And he's completely supportive of that. He puts in the work, you know what I mean, to create those contracts, to get medicals ready, to set up the hotels, to make sure everything is set for these fighters, transportation, every little detail, and communicating with the promoters. And when we connected and he told me everything he does, I said, I might do humanitarian work in Thailand, but you're doing it over here for the love of the sport and these fighters, because we don't get paid in the sport. And he's 100% supportive of that. And and I feel a lot of great things are going to happen. My business partner Mayada and I, we want to create projects for women who are in Muay Thai. We also want to do it globally. There's a lot going down, and I'm barely establishing my roots here as a fighter, as a coach. I'm trying to get in again to the promotional side of everything, and I'm just excited. I'm excited about how all of this is going to just play out, and what's going to be created from this. I'm no longer just a fighter. You know what I mean? It's now expanded to so much more.
I think you need to do everybody a favor and write a book. I think that's what you really need to do.
I actually have Robbie LeBlanc from UFC. He does a Las Vegas news blog, and he does like a motivational Monday. And he actually wants to bring a production next year. Mayada and I plan on going to Thailand to fight after I recover from surgery. And we plan on fighting in Thailand, and he wants to do a full documentary on it.
That would be awesome. That would be so awesome.
Yes.
Your story needs to be heard.
He's been filming for the UFC for a long time, and we met last night at the fights, actually, and he was just like, I want to do your story, and I want you to come on, the news podcast, and I want to film you. And I was like, what? So I've had people who've offered to help write a book. I've had people who offered to write a movie about it. But something still hasn't felt right. Like when even this podcast, I said yes. There's been opportunities before. Something just didn't seem right yet. And even with Robbie, I didn't even hesitate. It felt right. With L, it felt right. You know what I mean? I follow by my intuition a lot of times.
Respect that, 100%. And you know what? You were talking about Jordan, and we were talking about Al and what he does. He actually told me this afternoon that he spent all day setting up for the next line fight event that's going to be out in LA, actually.
LA Coliseum. I'll be there with him, yeah.
So big things for Lion Fight, man. I mean, I've been to a whole bunch of their events here on the East Coast. If you guys want to check them out, they're always at Foxwoods here in Connecticut. But not only that, they're over on the West Coast, and now they're going overseas. They were just out in like London. They're going all different places. Yeah. It's exciting, and one of the biggest Muay Thai
I just had a
promotions.
Meeting with him, with Scott Kent, on Monday.
He's such a good guy. I love Scott.
Oh my God, he's amazing. And we both got so excited discussing just Muay Thai. Like, his vision for the sport and bringing full rules Muay Thai and keeping it authentic and keeping the Thai music, doing the white crew. Obviously, there's limitations. He just, signed up with CBS.
Yes.
And
yes.
Access TV obviously limited on how, he can do the production in this. But he's doing his best to keep it authentic. And that was our whole conversation. We talked, over an hour, just talking about the love of the sport, where he was, where he started it, what it's done and how it grew. And Al connected us, and that's what's always so special to me. Even in Thailand, Mr. Kiat, he's from the WBC Muay Thai and Asian Boxing Committee, and WBC Cares. He's helped me do a lot of the humanitarian work also in Thailand, working with the WBC Cares with kids in hospital, and it's like big champions helping little champions. It's just like I've met so many people. And I feel God's aligned me with so many people so that this message keeps getting pushed through, and it's a message of love and unity. And that's what it is. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what country you came from. It doesn't matter you're male, female. It's all about where your heart is in the love of the sport. And when you share that with someone else, amazing things can happen.
Before I let you go, the one last thing I really want to ask you is, what do you see by the end of this year becoming of what you're doing with Al? Like, what's the goal here? What do you guys like to accomplish by the end of the year? We only got like 2 months left. How does the rest of the year look for you, planned out here?
It's going to be a creative process. I mean, we connect all the time, and we talk about things that we want to do. But I think the most important part is first getting organized, especially now that there's two people in the mix. It's not just, you know, he's been running this business for so long. He's been in the sport since 2011. You know, he still has his life that he does as an engineer. He's amazing. He, you know, creates time for everybody else. He's a giver. But I hope that me coming in, not only with my business background and education, but also the love of the sport and understanding where the fighters come from, that we can bring something different to the table.
And that makes me feel really comfortable that somebody like you is a part of Iron Chin now. So that's a huge announcement. And JJ, I want to thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure and honor having you on. I mean, I can't wait for people to have their reactions to this, because my DMs are going to be blowing up. This is one of the biggest podcasts, one of my favorite podcasts I've ever done. Just sitting back, hearing your story. Like, usually,
thank you so much.
When fighters come on, I usually have like I like it to be natural. Like, I don't like sitting there with a pen and paper and having all these questions read out. I like having an actual conversation, and you just took the wheel and just allowed me to just sit back and listen. And I really want to thank you for that as well, because there are a lot of things that you brought up during this interview that really connected with me and what's going on in my life. And I really hope that someone out there that is listening to this podcast or watching this podcast on either Spotify, iTunes, Podbean, wherever, that they can at some point in your story relate and just find some comfort, because I felt a lot of comfort here with having you on the show. Jessika L LOpez, you are amazing. I want to thank you again, but where can people find you on social media after they hear this interview?
So I'm on Facebook as JJ, and in Instagram, JJ Nackson, Naksin, JayJaynaksin. And honestly, it's an open platform for anybody who wants to message me, talk about their journey, anything they're going through. Honestly, I feel like I was put on this earth to help people and coach them. I love coaching for that reason. It brings, you know, it's so raw. And so if anybody has anything that they want to discuss, I'm open to it as well. If you're going to get ready to go to Thailand and need some pointers on how to get ready to go there, I'll be happy to help you. You know, I lived there for over 2 years total. So, on fighters here in America, even if it's your first fight, I'll be open ears. You know what I mean?
Listen, I really need you to send me the clip of that you said that you have of the crowd rooting against you, pointing at you. You said you have that clip, right?
Yeah, I would have to edit it if they find it. Yeah, I have like, everybody gets mad at me because I didn't jump on the social media scene right away. And they were like, you don't post pictures till 5 years later. Everybody forced me on this trip to post it. I still have thousands of pictures from this trip that I haven't even posted. So if anybody who starts following me, just to let you know, I'm sorry if there's going to be photos from like 2011.
It's all good. It's all good. You've had an amazing story. So even just seeing just like little clips or photos and stuff, it's going to make it even more real. Like, hearing the story is one thing, but when you see it, it's an entire different thing. And that's why I really hope to see your documentary one day, see a book out about you, because this has just been very inspirational. Very like the new age Mulan here. That's what I'm calling you. You're Mulan.
I just want to say thank you so much again for creating this platform to share my story. Again, I felt completely comfortable to do so with you. And I appreciate your honesty and that you were so raw about your personal experience. I wasn't actually disappointed that the interview didn't happen. I even told Al, I don't even care about the interview no more. I want to make sure he's okay because I didn't hear from you. It worried me. And I knew there was an ugly feeling in my gut, you know, like something's not right. And when you said, I'm going through this problem, I just want you to know that you have listeners, again, that are also probably going through the same thing, and sharing openly in how you overcame it or how you're dealing with it or how you're processing it is going to affect people in such a positive way.
Are you trying to make me cry right now? Are you?
No.
So I'm about to.
No, but I just want to thank you so much, honestly. I know you put so much time and effort and energy into this, and this is where your heart is, and keep doing what you're doing. It's beautiful. Thank
you so much. I'm literally like choking up right now. If there's anything else that you want to get on the table, sponsors, anything at all, the floor is now all yours.
Yeah, of course, Iron Shin Muay Thai. Crew Rex, Lily Rodriguez, the Orquídez family, Muay Thai School USA with Robin Hart, Team Sandoval Muay Thai, Alliance Muay Thai, Nornaxon, One King Tong, Mr. Kia from the WBC. Um, you know, just all like my little Earth Angels, Larnie, Sona, and Sarah, Mayada, my family and friends who have just been there for me. So much support and so much love, and I just couldn't be so blessed like the way I am right now.
Man,
So,
I'm leaving this interview with such good energy right now. I want to thank you so much for that. And I really hope that
yeah,
other people out there are feeling the same energy here, because life's so short. We get these very small windows of happiness in life. And right now is one of those windows where I just feel blissful right now. So I want to thank you so much. This has been a pleasure having you on the show.
thank you so much, and stay on that vibration. Remind yourself, ground yourself. You know what I mean?
Thank you so much. We'll talk soon. And last but not least, behave yourself.
No. All right.
Have a good night.
Have a good night. Thank you, everybody.
There we go. Wow. Wow, guys. Wow. I am taken back by that interview. I really hope that you guys enjoyed that interview. That was something else. I'm taken back by that interview. Everything that she's been through, her entire story. I mean, I can only imagine what it would mean for women hearing this story. Let me know what you guys thought about this in the comments down below, because I think this might be my favorite interview I've ever done, where it's just like so real, so raw, a real story. I'm satisfied. I am really satisfied with this interview. Make sure you guys give her a follow. Let me give her I know that she gave you guys her Instagram, but let me double check it for you guys. So if you want to hop over there right now and follow her, all you got to do is search Jessika L Lopez, or at JJ, that's JayJayNaksin. One more time, JayJayNaksin. Jessika L Lopez, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview. Make sure you subscribe down below if you are a new listener here on the podcast. I know we got a whole shit ton of new subscribers here on YouTube. We're killing it on iTunes as always, Podbean, Stitcher, Podomatic. Now we're on Spotify, guys. Man, I've never been this emotional on a podcast before. So I know some of you guys are going to be making fun of me, but the guys out there, the people out there that are feeling this, you can't blame me for how I feel right now after that. That was just so comforting. So comforting. Guys, have a great day. I'm going to have a great night, relaxing night. Really helped me put things into perspective about just like these little battles that we go through in life. I mean, she was talking about how we were supposed to do the interview the other day. And I've been telling you guys, like, you know, everything I've been going through. Like, I care more about other people sometimes than I care about myself. And it ends up hurting me. I got a lot to think about now, so hope you guys enjoyed this. I did do the UFC 229 reaction. If you guys want to check that out down below, I'm going to be uploading that to iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, Stitcher, Podomatic, Player FM, all that good stuff. So check that out as well, because there was a lot that we had to unravel from last night's event with Conor McGregor. And it's been one hell of a crazy day here. It's been one hell of a crazy day. That interview was meant to happen. That interview was meant to happen. Guys, thank you so much. Wait, no, it goes to the end. Behave yourselves.